So Dan?
Thank you very much. Let's do a quick sound check. I want to make sure that my microphone is coming in okay and that my trusty sidekick, Mr. Williams, who is really not a sidekick at all, is also present.
You sound pretty good to me, Dan. Happy hump day.
Is that what it is?
It's Wednesday.
Okay, got it. You're right, Wednesday is hump day. Okay, guys, we have a very, very good presentation for you, and I'm going to be pretty passionate about it today. So there's kind of, again, a blend or a mix of people who are in here, but I'm going to really try to focus today on how to help you make the most money possible by answering the most important question. Okay? Before we do that, let us make sure that you're not...
We need to share your screen, Dan. I don't see it's being shared quite yet.
How about right there?
There you go.
Okay, but before we jump into our presentation, I want to just make sure everyone's aware that Trade Ideas is a information education provider, so none of the information that's in this webinar should be construed as actual investment advice. For that, you need to seek the advice of a registered investment advisor. Okay, so again, great presentation today. This is... Does anybody understand what I'm saying here, first of all?
Well, you spent a lot of time on that slide.
I really worked very hard on this time, and it's going to be on a little bit longer than you might suspect. Okay, audience participation. What do I mean by this? I know somebody can type. I just want to hear it. That's right, what? Your problem is what? What is what? I want to hear, Brad, what some people are saying. You can, Brad, you can type something.
What should you be trading? What direction should you be going?
Okay, I like what Brad is saying. So George, George, thank you for answering. Stuart, winning. Okay, more. Joe, finding. Okay, so you got here's the thing. One of the reasons why there was not an overwhelming amount of people just typing stuff in is because that question is hardly ever asked. What problem am I solving when I'm in the market? A lot of people are like, whoa, well, I'm investing, or I'm a day trader, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to extract gains from the market. Okay? We are trying to extract the gains. So in order to do that, what becomes a huge problem for us to solve? What should I buy or short sell exactly when I do it that's going to make me money? Now, it may sound almost like silly that I'm spending so much on, what is Dan talking about? I want to hear some setups. I want to see a trend line. But before any of and all of that, ultimately, we end up at the what. What are the 4 symbols, 3 symbols, whatever symbols it is that that you're going to be buying and selling? We're going to talk a lot about what you're allocating your resources on. And then the final part, now, Brad, here's the thing. The what and when, I know it sounds kind of silly to separate them, but they are kind of 2 separate large pieces. It's not just, well, which stock or ETF or whatever instrument you use to buy or short sell, but when arguably is almost as important. If you apply some of the science in the markets, the random walk, or the efficient market hypothesis, arguably one could say when is 1,000 times more important because...
Yeah, I mean, I would almost say that it is.
Right. So these are the 2 words, the what and the when. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to show you how, we solve that problem for you. That's the whole point of why you're at this webinar and why we're going to completely change how you perceive investing. So let's talk about what, okay, and just real quick, Brad, I want to make sure everyone can see a very large chart of the SPY.
Yep, we got your SPYs up right now on a 15-minute chart.
On a 15-minute time frame. So just for all of you that don't know, Trade Ideas, with your Trade Ideas subscription, you get charts, you get single stock data pages. I mean, you get basically, it's a full platform of information, but it's really much more than that. So the spies today did this thing that, again, a lot of people don't know happens, but I really kind of want to focus on it because it's a huge factor of making money in the markets and resource allocation and capital allocation, everything. So Brad, what happened here and here?
Well, that's a gap up. Yeah, that's a gap up right there between yesterday's close, and not specifically looking at that, knowing whether you're looking at post-market data or pre-market. It looks like it's just a gap up in the pre-market.
Okay, that's right. So this orange, or wait, orange, what am I talking about? This pink part of the graph tells you after market hours. Okay, so it opened, I think, here, because then it would have to have been open, high, low, close. No, wait.
Yep, that's the first 15-minute candle of the day today.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, no, it's open, high, low, close, because it was green. It closed here.
Correct.
I'm refreshing my own voodoo. And again, by the way, that stuff is not important. The important point is that you really couldn't have participated. So from this point, this is the important stuff to get. So check it out. So Brad, we opened at 207, right? And where did we finish?
We opened at 207, exactly.
Right, 207, exactly. And where did we finish? At 208, a point. Okay. Now, that is not bad to be up a point. You know, let's talk about it. SPY. Again, notice how I say a point because you couldn't play with this right here. That was a gap up. You would have already had to have been in it. So it's very important to understand that with the S&P, and when you compare, I mean, the S&P never starts from scratch. So it did this relatively a point move up, and again, it was about, what you could have participated in was about 0.5% move. Okay? So now we're going to get into, again, the Q&A. Why are you here is, what are we trying to do that's different, and how is our approach something that you should really be allocating your resources to? So over here you've got our AI Holly, our AI channel. This is our premium product, and I'm jumping right to it because you really need to understand how serious what's happening here is under the hood. Now, what the hell do I usually have here? Oh, is that the, okay, it stays. That's right. Right. Okay. So while the S&P gave you an opportunity to participate in a point move, our AI engine today, starting from scratch, gave you, and again, a lot of you were in the room, you know, you saw what was happening, but basically it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 possible trades, and was up over 8 points in those trades. So the reason that I talk about the what and the when is because we have already figured something out that you guys are still searching to find an answer to. Okay? What we figured out is you can't today be trying to figure out what and doing the when yourself when the market moves and the statistics of the market move too quickly for consistent profit. So what we've done is we've automated the what and the when search for you. This way, the idea is that instead of focusing your attention on just random names, you are at least focusing, and again, when I say at least, the key is to have this up. You're at least focusing on statistically high potential trades. And again, notice that this is American Express. This isn't a penny stock. This is an approach, a methodology that works because it is technology driven and data driven versus gimmick driven. Okay, you know, there are a lot of vendors in the fintech space that we have to compete with. You know, there's a lot of, you have things like eSignal and stock charts and FinViz, And certainly some of the vendors are decent. But the thing is, and again, this is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, is that while we also have software, we provide a methodology, a roadmap. We're saying here, follow this generated by AI, by our computer systems, and you will do better than yourself alone. Or if you just, again, even follow somebody randomly, because you have to understand statistically what is a guess and what is not a guess. Okay? When you arbitrarily pick different things, like for example, we have an incredible community, and I'm going to just quickly jump back to the slide. So a lot of you, and if you aren't, Scott, can you make sure that or somebody that's on the presentation, can we make sure that there's a link for everybody to go into the trading room so they can kind of see all of this happening in action? But the reason I point this out, and by the way, Barry, who's also here, I want to make sure, Barry, you know that this is not in any way a knock on what you're doing. It's just a different approach. So Barry grew up, and so did I, and Brad, and everybody else. We grew up fending for ourselves, okay, because there were really no technology platforms that did what the one that we invented is doing. So you had to create a kind of very strong trial and error based field to be a successful investor. And Barry, who is probably one of the best at it that I've seen recently, certainly with the temperament, he is our trading room moderator, and our trading room is a concept that really delves right into the two approaches that you can take. We all know you're starting from the approach of discretionary trading, meaning you see stuff, you're listening to people, and then you decide to make a trigger. And what we're trying to get you to do is to shift your attention a little bit more to the AI driven, and not only because it's our premium product, but simply because, and again, this is not a knock, it's an in addition to, look at what we are doing. So in the last 2 days, while the S&P was up, what was it up yesterday? It's up 2 today. Does anybody remember what the SPY was up yesterday, Brad? Yeah.
I don't know, but if you scrunch your chart up a little bit, compress those candles, and we can kind of see on that 15-minute chart what it looked like.
Well, let's call it another point. Let's call it 3 points, even though it wasn't. Okay, so in the last 2 days, the SPYs was up 3 points, which is really good for the SPYs. But this day, combined with yesterday, we're up 12 points. We're up 5 and change yesterday, and we're up 8 today. And our software, unlike yourself, has some advantages on the profiling side. So notice that today, the strategy that was most successful, okay, and gave us the majority of our gains, happened to have also been one that was designed from the get-go to take advantage of longer-term setups, like during the day, not like forever, meaning that today's hold times were actually like 4-hour hold times. So when you watch that, right, you realize that, well, this isn't just something I got to jump into and day trade. I'm able to like work around and move around the software. So Brad, that's one of the things that I really wanted to make sure that people knew, and also that even though we were heavily biased to the long side, we still traded some shorts because, again, you have to expose yourself to both things at once. And this is where you have to ask yourself, can you do it? And how could you possibly do it better than this? What's happening here is this is technology is simply doing what we do, but doing a little bit better because it's being programmed by us. Now imagine this. You may ask yourself, what kind of algorithm are those crazy guys writing or whatever? Well, it's very simple. Do you know who designs like the concepts behind what we're writing? Well, that really good trader Barry that I talked to you about, and that other really good trader Jamie that trains you, who's been trading his own capital since 1996, and that guy Dan Merkin, who's speaking right now, who's been in articles about, you know, being one of the most successful traders out there. They put in their own knowledge, and they have a development team that over 10 years, this isn't a startup, that's the other thing, guys. You know, over 10 years we've been putting this stuff together, and it's just now, actually it's 13 years. Brad, it's 14, 13. 14.
It's 14 years, but 13 years to the public.
Right. So, okay, so in our 13th year did the technology actually just come around that made this, the AI, possible. That's why you're seeing it now and why it hasn't been there before.
Well, you know, the thing is, Dan, it's been technology that's been built on the foundation of the previous technology that we've built. You know, I mean, you could go back and you can talk a little bit about the metadata and the data that we create, the new forms of data that allow us to really optimize these strategies with so many data points that aren't available anywhere else. They're really only available here in Trade Ideas.
Well, Brad, you know, it's interesting that you say that. One of the reasons why I actually didn't dive into that much is, you know, part of when Scott did that survey, there's so many new people here that I wanted to stay more on the higher level. You know, just about the fact that imagine that there is this computer base in San Diego. It's connected directly to the exchanges, but also to social media and other things, and it's listening for something that it believes will be statistically sound. Now, people always say, well, does correlation imply causation, et cetera? Well, guess what? The causation is kind of irrelevant in this case. We're not looking for causes. We're looking just for correlations.
Hey, Dan, do me a favor. Bring in, on that AI strategy window, bring over that column, that win percentage today, drag it all the way over to the left, and let's talk a little bit about kind of these strategies that that are selected, not we select, but that are selected. And just I'll kind of highlight that far left column over there, that win percentage right there. That column is taking a look at these different strategies, the respective strategies, on a historical basis from a back test, and saying that this particular strategy has a 75% or 67% success rate. That means if you're winning 3 out of 4 times on that Bollinger reversion scalp trade. But
in
then
all
if you look,
historical testing.
yeah, that's the historical testing. But certainly, you know, history, while statistics are important, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the same results today. But today, you can see the correlation. So on that top strategy right there, the Bollinger reversion scalp, you know, there were only 2 trades, and it looks like we won one of them and lost one. So weren't able to get that 75%, but it equates to 50. And you can see how that correlates. And we even tried a couple of short opening range breakdowns. And I say we, but I'm talking about Holly. And it tried 2 attempts at it, and both were, you know, failed attempts.
Well, Brad, you actually reminded me of something that's kind of important, and it's almost like a major announcement. That's how cool these webinars are. But consider this for a minute, okay? There's a huge reason why we went this direction with the AI, okay? We've had this tool, and again, I'm showing everybody our backtesting tool that exists, where you can take any strategy and you can right-click and you can say backtest. Now here is something really interesting and different that we do. We approach it from a human point of view. So instead of like writing code and all this like, well, if profit equals bobbity, 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 gunk, whatever, we just say, okay, we want the strategy to start at what time? Let's say 15 minutes after the open, because I'm West Coast. And obviously I'm not going to be adding any trades at the close, so maybe I won't add any the last hour. And that's it. And again, you can get more refined, but you can see what the market's doing just like that and hit simulate buy. So here our software is going back to our data office in San Diego, and it's crunching through all of the possible events over the quarter that have taken place, and it's giving us kind of a roadmap of what happens if you're doing this statistically without any advantage, if you're just literally doing this strategy without any help from a computer. And what you see is average gains and average losses are very close. Out of 1,300, you're just slightly ahead and just slightly ahead, etc. And what we found is that no matter whether you're using Trade Ideas OddsMaker, whether you're trying to do it in TradeStation, whether you're trying to do it in Wealth Lab, backtesting sucks. That's right, it sucks. Here's why it sucks. Let me see, I'm going to run this again, simulate sell. Because backtesting sucks, guys, because it tells you the truth. And we as humans, we don't like the truth. Because it kind of interferes with, you know, if you find out that most everything you see on stock charts is a coin flip, no matter how many indicators or whatever it is that you have on there, it kind of makes you feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't get into this in the first place. And by the way, if you are making your decisions based on indicators that are available on platforms or just Twitter or just anything else, you probably shouldn't be doing it. That's what we found out over, like, literally, Brad, over 10 years of testing. It finally dawned on us, guys, stuff that we create suck.
It's just, you know, the reality is it's just incredibly difficult. It's certainly not impossible. It's just very difficult. And look, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Right. So, and here's just so for your entertainment. So if I take this window and I'm going to go to the window. Where did it go? Here, sorry. If I take this window and I can like figure out, well, maybe, you know, you could say to yourself, maybe it's, I need to put in some prices between 5 and, let's say, 80, and that'll limit it to something that I can really work on. I bet that'll work. So I'm going to do that real quick. Check it again.
Well, you are, to be fair, Dan, you are guessing right now and throwing that out there, but the odds maker does provide you the tools to kind of
no, I'm not poo-pooing the tools. What I'm saying, Brad, don't get me wrong, big fella. You don't get Brad upset. He's kind of big. What I'm saying is that trying to find a strategy, even with the best tools such as the odds maker, was incredibly painful.
Yeah,
agreed. So that's where we said we need to throw that concept out of people sitting there. Now, mind you, of course, there are some program-oriented people who kind of love the mental challenge of it, like chess or whatever, and they work with the odds maker all the time. But what we did with this strategy, with Holly, is we automated the whole odds maker concept. We said, well, how would we do it if we were a business? And we did exactly that. We created 45 exploitations of a stock price. In other words, think about this chart. I'm going to kind of expand it. Okay? And what's kind of cool is it can demonstrate all the different things that can happen. So here you're in the bottom 25 percentile of any stock. Now, if I thought this thing was going to really go down, I could sell it short here. And if I thought it was going to go up, I could buy it here. Those are the only two things you can do to exploit the situation. Now I'm in the middle. 25%. If I thought it was going to break out, I would buy it, and if I thought it was going to go down, I would short it. Same kind of exploitation, different position of a chart. And here, same thing. Is this a pullback? If it is, I'm going to buy it, and if it's a reversal, I'm going to short it. But how do you know? Well, you have to go through tons and tons of iterations to figure that out. And that's what we spent our research dollars on, creating the kind of infrastructure that basically takes all of those concepts, like again, splits those exploitations into approximately 45 different ones, and the best ones out of those whose components are constantly changed. So like, here's the thing, guys. So you see, there are many of you who already have this technology, and you have seen Power Hour Long come on multiple days. That should be nothing, you know, new for you. But what you probably don't know, or maybe you aren't thinking about, is that this Power Hour Long is totally different. The name is the same, but it's different in terms of what it's doing compared to the one that was there yesterday.
Well, and also the concept is the same. So there's a core concept, but what the AI engine does after every day is it goes to every strategy and it strips away some of the extraneous filters, going right back to the base concept, and then looks to add and modify some of the filters in that strategy to optimize it. And then after it does that, they all have to compete with each other, and only the best of the best make it the next day.
Yeah, I believe our technical cutoff is exactly at 59.5, Barry. So this one didn't sneak in, it got 0.3 over. I think it's 59.5 is the exact one, just so that you know. And again, so going back to what are you going to pay attention to, and I certainly hope you take this route, because whether you hear about it later on our Shark Tank or just keep hearing about it yourself, I mean, this is the #1 kind of technology in fintech, in my opinion. But what do I know? I've only been doing this like 20 years. Now, of course, I'm very excited. I'm very passionate about the product that we bring to market. But we are, again, we're putting our, like if it didn't work, guys, how could I be sitting there telling you, you know, about this? That's the whole point. I don't really have to sell too hard. It's our performance. And there are people, what I was telling Brad actually about this before. I said, you know what I love the most? I love the most that there are people like who have, and a lot of them, who have purchased this AI over the last 2 days, and they're like, holy shit, I know exactly why I did this. And that's not something that you get often, you know, from products. A lot of times it's kind of like, oh man, what did I just get, you know? But not with this. Okay, not when you can put up 8 points while everyone is watching. See, that's the thing. So this AI, again, now let's go back to attention, the when and what are you paying attention to. In our room, Barry is interacting with almost 300 people, many of whom are trade ideas users and many of whom are not, and discussing possible trades. And Barry kind of does it both. Although he does trade from the AI, I would never say that that's his primary tool because, again, Barry has a very comfortable working knowledge of the market that he relies on. And I know that we've expanded it and he's doing more with the AI, but he doesn't need the AI by itself, whereas 99% of you guys do.
No, but you know what, Dan? It was really interesting. I had an opportunity to watch Barry's recap video yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, and I can't remember what stock it was, but it was a stock that he didn't participate in during the initial AI position, but I'm not sure if that's it. But what he did was he was watching that non-exit P&L. So long after
it was
the position was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's a lot of great ways that you can use the AI for information. You can use it, you know, for ideas.
Well, that's no 100%, and Brad's like he's literally almost jumping ahead. But the truth of what I'm saying is, again, guys, if you're going to be paying attention to something, pay attention to the most statistically sound information that you're going to get. And now I want to talk a little bit about, Brad, about the depths of that information. What do you get from trade ideas? Okay. So number one, yesterday, how many strategies were on there?
There were a ton, if I recall. Weren't there 14 or so?
Okay, so yesterday, guys, we had 14 of these that made the cut. So that kind of should tell you right away that the market is setting itself up, statistically speaking. That's what you were seeing. It's like, oh, like if you were playing blackjack with the card counter, that means that, ooh, the count is such that, you know, it's going to be an interesting day. That's, I mean, so right away you get kind of a breadth analysis. Here, compared to yesterday, although we did much better, there were less opportunities that the software saw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, we can take advantage of anything, but you get kind of a breadth and a flow to it. So that's number one. What's the bias? That's number two. Number one, if you think that the market has been in a short bias, you're crazy lately. And again, our software automatically is designed to completely figure that out. So like this is the best part about what we do, is that you can say to yourself, oh, well, the market's up, everyone's making money. Well, okay, we hear that all the time. Number one, we already say S&P didn't make 8 points today. But our software goes in the direction of whatever is happening. So if the market was to start turning around and trading lower, you would just start seeing gradually, but probably not, you know, after just a couple of days, more and more short strategies. And that's what happens. So everything, this whole process has been distilled, refined, and automated for your viewing pleasure.
You know, also, Dan, it's important to note that you know, every one of these trades is entered in with an advisable stop, so you know what the risk is on any particular position. If you scroll down on that bottom right window, your closed strategy trades, where you see a couple of your losers, just scroll all the way down.
Let me just expand it up a little bit.
You can stretch it too. So the second column from the right is giving you that exit reason. You know, why did we get out of these particular trades? And some of them hit a profit target that was predefined in the strategy optimization process. Some of them.
By the way, look how nice that. and you can also see where your target's on call. So here, by the way, this is a great example. We had really nice AI set targets, and look how nicely it played, and almost got this one too.
Yeah, so there's a lot of
Good
stuff
work on the
that's already
target.
pre-managed for you.
Well, that's the thing, Brad. I mean, you know, I always want to say this. Okay, I mean, I make tons of metaphors, and you and I know, you know me on the golf course. I'm an animal. Very few people can compete with me when it comes to playing golf.
That is true. I will not argue that.
But there's so many similarities between. So the other thing, Brad, let's talk about this. Okay, pulling the trigger. This is the other thing. Everyone, like, one of the reasons why people love to pull the trigger in our trading room is because Barry's easy to follow. He's a human, and I get that, and he's pulling the trigger. I mean, so there's a lot of like symbiosis. So when Holly's getting into these trades, just so you know, she is pulling the trigger on the trade. So the idea is that you watch them as they happen and decide, do you or don't you want to follow? It's kind of very similar to what you would do with Barry. You just have a lot more options during the day. But the concept is very, very similar. And here's the thing. This is the final part of what's so important. Just like in golf, implicit versus explicit learning. There is no amount of stuff that you guys, this is the best, if there's anything you can do in this webinar, take this away, okay? No amount of indicators, nothing on charts or written on paper that's going to make you feel like you want to buy it right now. You've got to train yourself to execute, or short sell. It doesn't matter. You've got to basically say, okay, I'm going to do it, and you're more comfortable doing it when you know that you have information to help you. Like, for example, any trade you get into on Trade Ideas, you can see a smart stop number, whether it's for the AI or something, you know, totally different, whether it's some list that we saw. Every single thing, you have that support. Every stock Barry mentions, you can pull up and see a smart stop number. That's that whole thing. It's that support rule. So you have to train yourself to do it, and the only way to train yourself to do it is through making trades. The best that you're going to do is following a teacher, a mentor who is followable. Barry is probably one of the most followable humans I know in the game. He's sincere, articulate, and is very good. But in terms of the breadth of information, you're not going to be able to do any better than with the Trade Ideas AI, because again, it's also going through hundreds and hundreds of thousands of trades every day to get you these calls, and that's something that nobody else is doing. Okay, and you can see that the beauty is that you can go through it during the day and you'll be like, damn, now I understand why I got this. You know, I understand why I thought this. I mean, look, see here, and now you're back to like, oh, I get it. You know, this is another one of those price exploitations. And by the way, it's happening on multiple time frames. Here, our AI is exploiting the idea of buying a stock in its lower end of its trading range, and here, our AI on the intraday is exploiting the idea of buying a breakout. It's doing both things at once.
And it's also, Dan, it's important to note that these strategies have filters in them that are looking to the broader market, only putting on positions when it feels like the market is putting in the best opportunity for that position to be successful.
Well, I think, Brad, I mean, that kind of, that is what you should feel like comes with the automation, you know?
Yeah.
You can't make 8 point, like, put it to you this way. If those things were not in place, then how do you train the AI not to keep shorting stocks that are going up if everything is going up? You would just constantly keep shorting stuff. So we teach it not to do that by teaching it to watch the broader market as well. So it knows what to turn on and what to turn off. And again, guys, think about the knowledge that has gone into this system. I mean, you guys listen to Barry. Barry's one of the inputs. You listen to me. I am one of the inputs. Brad, Jamie, we are all part of the inputs. You know, there weren't that many founders of Facebook or Twitter either. Just a bunch of dudes getting together making some great stuff. This is what's happening. So, okay, Brad, I think we've gone over this part of it. The next part of our presentation is really going to be the Q&A. So, Philip, we're going to talk a lot about that. Scott, you want to do a quick jump in before Brad and I jump back to filling our...
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about like how our subscription model works and what the AI is, how you can buy into that. So, you know, software as a service company, and because that's how we operate, we have a subscription-based service. The core subscription is $99 a month. It's no contract. It includes all your data, the real-time data from the exchanges, includes all the charting. Also includes a great full hour of one-on-one training with screen sharing. It's the hour of power. As soon as you get the subscription, go ahead and go to the training page in the support section and pick your preferred time and date for the training, and we'll go ahead and do that with you, get you started on a head start. Of course, the annual plan is $888 a year. Again, no contract, but it saves you a bundle by paying for the whole year as opposed to paying monthly at $99. Includes all the same great stuff the monthly does, and then to get the AI and the odds maker backtesting tool, the higher functionality also includes the pricing alerts, that new feature. That requires purchasing the AI strategy and odds maker license. That's an $1,100 cost. I'll have a discount code later on in the presentation for the subscriptions and the odds maker AI channel, but that's how it works. We do not have a monthly or an annual subscription for the AI. It is a one-time purchase to get the high functionality of trade ideas. I'll go ahead and let Dan and Brad do the second half of the presentation, then I'll come back on and tell you how to save if you don't currently have either the AI or a subscription. And in the meantime, if you have questions about the subscriptions, I'll be in the questions panel, and I can help you out in the chat. Thanks. Dan?
Scott, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so Brad, why don't we jump into more of the Q&A?
Yeah, so I think we're waiting on Philip here. He has a question, but we're waiting for him to come through. Has not yet. Raphael's making a comment that he's really looking for just Holly, and that's certainly something that you can do. You don't need to use the other channels, although you know that is the real core foundation of trade ideas. You're certainly welcome just to stick with the ideas that are generated from Holly.
Yeah, and I think also, so Raphael, the other thing I would suggest is if you shoot like Jamie or Steve Gomez an email, they might be able to help shoot you a layout that is more Holly geared. Although everything you guys see here, we've gone a long way to make sure you don't really need to set a lot of stuff up. So this channel is fully functional as an autonomous trading interface. You know, that's what it's there to do. Okay, so let's see. We got PK. I'm still not sure. Okay, so let me, Brad. I'll answer PK's question. So listen, there's a great. If you guys, so you want to know more about the AI. Number one, unless you're a computer scientist, I mean, you don't really want to know like how we code it. That's really not the point. But you can go to our page, and we have a whole kind of dissertation on what it does. Okay? And that explains a lot of it. But basically, it's what I had described earlier, which is our AI is a set of exploitations on market statistics, much like a card counter would count cards in a blackjack game. These exploitations are 45 different strategies which our computers adjust every single evening, and the strategies compete amongst themselves right here to be the ones that are trading. So only the best of the best, it's like we call it the quantitative combine, only the best of the strategies make it, and this was the result today. So the historical 67.6 turned into 100 on 2 trades. It gave us total of 99 cents. The 59.8 turned into a 76.9% in real life on 13 trades that gave us 7 points and 35 cents. And power hour, the 66 turned into a 50. there was 50 from the 75, and even a 0 from the 60. Okay, George, so those strategies are not accessible to people, and the reason is because they constantly change. Now, if you would like for us to help you create a power hour strategy, we can set up a training session for you to do that. That's not a problem at all. It's just that we don't hand out the AI strategies to people because, again, it would degrade. That's what happens. By itself, any strategy degrades as the market is somewhat efficient. But our AI keeps it sound by constantly redoing it. So, Bill, what were you asking? Brad, what's the MIM volume minimum?
Hey, Dan, do me a favor. To get to Bill's question right there, open up an RBI window. Just go up to your to New, and then, yeah, open up the 5. And then with these RBI, this is actually done in a different language other than TI Pro, but there's still an ability to do some level of customization. I think the question is specific to, go ahead and right-click and select Customize. Is that an option? Yeah, so he wants to know what those bottom 3 fields are. So minimum volume %, the minimum position in range, and the max position in range. So those happen to be filters that we have inside of TI Pro. So the minimum volume %, it's taking a look at the % of volume that's been done today compared to the average volume that a stock does. So if it's at 100%, then at that point in time,
what's 200?
Well, that means it's done 2 times the normal volume at the time of that alert. So if on average it does 1 million shares a day, it would have had to have done 2 million shares at that point for it to have generated an alert. And then the other 2 filters that we have, the position and range, well, the position and range is a filter that we have that looks at the low of the stock during the day and the high of the stock, and it gives you the ability to filter on that. And so if you put a 75 like you have right there, that needs to be in the upper quarter, the upper 25 percentile of that stock's range for the day. So those are what those 3 different filters are specific to the RBI windows.
Yeah, Philip, just shoot us an email. Okay, what are the other questions, guys? Because again, Brad and I can always
So relative volume, there's a question Doug's asking if relative volume is going to become a filter in RBI, GBI. Well, I mean, it's not going to be unless we mandate that. I don't know that that's been a request yet, but do us a favor. If you have any requests like that, shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas.com, and you know, we meet regularly and we talk about the customer requests and what people are asking for, and we discuss that and prioritize everything. So shoot us an email if there's something that you'd like to see.
And we do, again, we're constantly adding things, but I do want to say, you know, and this is I kind of, you know, I'm a humorous kind of guy, Brad. I listen in on the trading room, and I do hear about people saying, well, we need this SMA and that SMA, and I keep thinking back, but you guys, you're missing what we keep saying, which is, you're asking for all this stuff just to help you get that feeling that you get without that stuff. And what I mean by that stuff is any stuff. You have to learn to pull the trigger, whether you like it or not, and deal with the consequences of that. That is successful investment. You know, venture capital guys, they do the same thing. There's ultimately nothing that's going to say, you know what, that PowerPoint presentation, those guys are going to do it. No, there's no magic. You have to trust yourself.
So Jason's asking a question here. Where do you look to see the highest probability picks? And I think we're looking at the screen right here. That's Holly. Holly's generating signals that have high probability win percentages that are behind them, so that you know when a sunrise mover is triggered, there's a 67% chance that that will be successful, and it's managed appropriately by having the risk much smaller than the potential reward in those types of trades.
Well, also, Brad, I mean, here's the thing. So, Jason, it's kind of funny. Jason's actually asking exactly what we made. He's like, I only want the high percentage picks. Well, Jason, here's what they look like. So these are the percentages, and these were the picks from those percentages. This is what happened in real time. Just so you will know, high percentage picks does not mean that they all win. What you have to do is know how to manage the losers, which our software does automatically for you. So it trains you. You know, there's so many people out there like, I need good training education. The best training education is a mentor that does it correctly, and there's no better mentor for you than Holly. So Raphael, you know, you said, so if you want to try Holly and it's Holly, not Holy, for a month, would you need to pay the full subscription? Yes, right now the answer is yes, and here's why. Part of it is to screen out the serious or the not serious people, and don't take that the wrong way. What we're saying is that in the grand scheme of what we're trying to do here, which is give people the opportunity to build wealth, you know, people go to Harvard and they get in debt for $500,000 to become a lawyer or a doctor with very little guarantees. And we're competing for that because, again, your allocation of capital, you're trying to create income, build wealth, which is what you do from your education so that you can support your family, reproduce, Maslow's hierarchy. Brad, do I need to go further? But the point really is you got it all here. You know, you've got the best of the best. You just need to use it. So Jason, the ticker symbols, okay, do you see? So it's good that I like, Brad, these are good questions. So these are all wins. So this Holly, okay, let's go back 1 second. So what you're seeing here, guys, this is a channel, okay? So we have a lot of channels on the Trade Ideas channel bar. So that if you're not looking at the AI, let's say the AI is just not doing that much, you can click on social media and see, well, what's going on stocks that are being mentioned a lot on social media. Or you can go to the options channel if you're, you know, if you like stocks that have options volume, or if you're just interested in stocks that move up or have earnings today or tomorrow. We basically have divided the market already into everything. The only thing that we're saying is that while we give you all of this information, this is a tool, because there's nothing that we know that says ADTN is going to do great tomorrow. And again, you can't predict the future. You can just react. So here we're giving you symbols of interest. And again, you can go deep. There's metals, energy, ETFs. There's after hours. So like what's going on right now in the after hours market. What's going up, what's going down. You can see it. You know? All of that is available for you. But during market hours, we're talking about an attention shift to this. So here, strategy trades, as soon as a signal is triggered, it appears here with a timestamp. So at 12:29, which is a half hour before the market closes, WBAI came across. It happened like right here, and really nothing much happened afterwards. And then had a maximum profit of 5 cents, and it was closed. WGP finished up 13 cents, bought it here and finished up 13 cents at the close. Brad, why did these two stick? I know you told me something.
Yeah, those two stuck because it looks like on the power hour we initiate trades all up until the very last half hour, and so it's a 30-minute hold, and it looks like that very last tick. It's a bug, but it's because it initiated at the bottom of the hour that it did that. If we had another minute left in the trading day, it probably would have cleared out. So
right,
that's a little bug.
Okay, so let's jump into like kind of these. So this stuff comes in, and during the time you see like how much time do you have left in the strategy. Some strategies are for as little as 30 minutes. Some are like the whole day. So when the strategies get closed out for whatever reasons, then they're in this window. They appear in the strategy closed window. And what's really cool here is that this lets you participate in the stock even after you got out of it. So here we were talking about how BABA, we only got out with a 9-cent winner, and it actually went a little bit against us at some point, like I think like right here, but then it started to go, and if you were watching the non-exit P&L, it's like you are still in it. And you were able to then trade around the statistically good position. So now you've got this other tool. If you missed it, you can still get back in it or even do better. And that's there by design. That's there to help you. But all the statistically sound trades are coming in this window, and you can see which strategy they're from and what the statistics are compared to the historical, which is all that is. It's a basis. Here we have a strategy that tested 60%, but the 2 trades that we got out of it produced 0. That happens. That's real life. Well, okay, Don, you know, that happens all the time. And by the way, it's okay. We don't mind showing you some of the suggestions and stuff like that. But people, I guarantee you guys, this is the hottest product in fintech. We see the way our revenues are growing and the way it's being accepted by the market because we're showing you these names faster than anybody else. You know, this is not a stock picking service. This is technology that creates stock picks and then posts them so that you can follow and backs them up with statistics. You can't fake performance, guys. That's the thing. You can't fake it. Okay, Brad, what else do we got? Leon, I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah, I think there was one question from Philip. He asked something that a lot of people ask, and that is he wants to have multiple alerts simultaneously trigger for a signal to be going off. But what we do is we do something that's a little bit unique, and for most of the alerts that we have, there's generally a filtered counterpart. Like, you know, if you wanted to have a new high for the day and you wanted to have a volume burst alert go off at the same time but only happen simultaneously, you would use a filter on one of those and an alert on the other. And
well, let me show you. I mean, I want to do this by example. I mean, Brad, it's so funny because like I hear you talking, but I was such a terrible student. I would just need to cheat off of somebody right away on a test.
Let's cheat off you.
Okay, so what Brad is talking about, let's talk about something super simple, something on like highs of the day. Okay, so here when I go to position, so I can POSIT position, so you can see all sorts of different things. So we have a position in 5, 15, 30, 60. So you can actually say, I want something that's doing all of that. And I'm going to go Control V, Control V, Control V. So now it's on 5, 15, 30, and hourly highs.
And daily highs. And daily highs.
And daily highs. And I can select, for my alert, I can select this new high, but this new high's got to look like that. I'm going to call it look like that. But here's something else for, again, how deep it can go. So here I'm going to say SMA. Okay, and there's a lot of different SMA stuff that we have, but on the filter side, okay, here's what I'm going to say, change from the 200. So here's what I'm saying, so here's where you combine the quote-unquote alerts. So I want this new high to be at least 20% above the 200-day moving average. So that's how you program in trade ideas. It's all visual and selection based. There's no code to write. And I'm going to say look like that, 20 SMA. Hit OK. And here's the first stock that came, and it was today, I think. Yep. And do you see what I'm saying? Doug, yeah. Well, when we first released Holly, it's a great question. When we first released Holly, the first release was kind of the raw release. We had always intended to keep, you know, you can't like, when you work with AI, it's very difficult to say, and you're done. It's like a process that's constantly evolving. So we wanted to see how would she perform out of the gate, and then we wanted to keep working on making her more relatable. So we dialed it down both statistically and programmatically so that she would be easier to follow for people, but at the same time just as profitable. So Brad, do you want to answer Nick's question?
Yeah, so Nick's asking, is there a way to choose whatever time frame you want or only the preset times? Well, Nick, if you're talking about the AI, then no, you have to, you don't have the ability to augment that, but you do have the ability to put time filters in the software. So Dan, like if you were to type in time right here instead of MACD, you can do that too.
I'm just adding that, and then I can go to time.
So there's a time filter, and you could, if you put a minimum of 30 right there, then you wouldn't get a signal for the first 30 minutes of the market, and you could put a maximum value there as well. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were asking, but.
Well, 330, maybe he was also talking about how long the trades are, how long you hold them in the AI, which is that the AI kind of picks that on, depends on who's winning.
Yeah, and the reality is it's a suggestion. You know, you can trade that, and there are different ways that you could look at it. For instance, pull up well, when you're done modifying this, Dan, there was a signal today. If you look at our closed AI trades, I think it was Time Warner. Was it TWX?
Right. I'm going to give Bill. So here's something. Beta is typically what you're kind of going for. You know, there's really not stuff that you filter against. I mean, Holly is doing that at SPY. So again, just quick question. So Nick, some of our stuff, the MACD, so if you search it, you can kind of see what we have available. This is what's available. The reason you don't have the one that you want is because remember, when we do one of these, we're doing it for every single stock out there all the time in our server room. So it's not just something you can be like, oh, I'm going to add 45 in the 1 hour. But Nick, even more importantly, the MACD is nothing. Trust me. Okay? There's nothing that MACDs, RSIs, PDQs, or any other acronym that's invented by somebody that's shoved in a trading package does anything. None of these points came from MACD. And that's all we care about. We care about this more than, you know, stuff that we have heard that we think works. And that's why I want you to keep that open mind. Right, no, Nick, totally. And I'm just
so here's
saying,
the deal. Let me say something specific to Nick's question, because it sounds like Nick has something, you know, very specific in his mind that he's trying to create, and he's unable to do it. And while that's certainly possible, I mean, we have a ton of different alerts and filters to combine to create strategies in TI Pro, but certain times not everything is there. And if you do have, just by example, an affinity to MACD and you wanted something, we do have the ability to create this. And an example of that Dan was showing earlier in that RBI and GBI windows on different time frames, and we use a different application to do that. So if there is something that you specifically want to have configured, shoot us a request. We'll take a look at the request. We'll give you a price on that, and it's something that can certainly be done. So.
Okay, so what was the, Brad, you asked me to pull up Time Warner. I think I just did. What was the?
Yeah, TWX. So take a look at that. Now, this was a strategy escalation exhibit that's set to hold until 10 minutes before the close. But it puts you into this position at a great price on a breakout. And, you know, the question is that if it doesn't hit that stop loss that was indicated at 74.30 by that red marker on the chart, you can see that right there. So that's the stop loss. And essentially, if it doesn't hit that stop loss, it's going to expire for time. And the time was right there. But look, you could have just traded that. You could have been out of this thing in about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes as that thing was breaking down.
That's right. So that's, by the way, and that's, again, by design. The idea, guys, is these magic black boxes, they don't exist. You can still interact discretionarily as a human, but interact with a statistical system instead of a system based on voodoo and guessing, which is, again, what you are doing this right now when you read Kramer and all this stuff, because valuations are relative. You know, you can talk about a company's fundamentals all you want. They're fantastic, and by the way, we integrate fundamentals into our analysis and into the AI. But the point is, all of that is always in flux. Whatever you think is a good company, somebody thinks it's a bad company. But the price and ultimately how that works, that's a profiling and statistical game, and that's what we are the best at. That's why you're here, and that's where you stand the benefit from being and working with Trade Ideas. All right. Let's see.
No, it doesn't have to be connected to a trading account, although we link, we have our own charts, but we also externally link to, 90% of the different brokerage apps and special charting tools that are out there. So, yeah, you don't need to have a... Yeah.
Let's finish up with probably the most important thing. The most important thing is also that we give you the ability at Trade Ideas to not only participate with the AI like this, but to also work with it yourself. So here, let's say we see this TWX, okay, and we see what it's doing, and it looks like it's breaking out, but if you just look farther down the line, it could be breaking out a lot more. So let's set an alert, let's call it right here, just above where the highs, call it just once hit, and hit save. So now we've got this alert. And if I go to my, let's see, where are my triggers? Hold on, new, where'd it go? Ah, here it is. Okay, so these windows, so by the way, so we let you paper trade your ideas, guys. You want to learn? We have the best way to learn, and you learn it through what I just did. Here's your buy signal. Okay, this is probably the last, but at least one of the most important parts of Trade Ideas. So here you can see, again, without faking it, I started doing this at 222, and this is how many points my signals have accumulated, and again, I lose in some of them since I started. 282 points, not too shabby. That's because when I see things in the AI, like PN, and I see, I'm like, look at this, we didn't do it today, right? But Brad, what about right here? Looks good now from AI. Boom. Nothing is out of mind. That's ultimate efficiency, ultimate ability to beat your competition to the best setups. It's not about MACDs and RSIs, it's about mnemonics and attention getting. All right, Scott, the floor is yours.
Hey, nice presentation today, enjoyed it. Something that we like to do, to thank everyone for coming, both our existing subscribers that might not have the AI or might want to upgrade to the year, and those of you who don't have a subscription, is give you a promo code to save, and you can try Trade Ideas for your first month with half off using this code, Holly13. Make sure it's all in capitals for the Holly, H-O-L-L-Y. It is case sensitive. And then on checkout, takes it down from $99 to $49 for your first month. You can get a year for just $710. It takes 20% off that $888. Or get the AI and Odds Maker for 30% off, $770 lifetime. It's a great upgrade if you already have the year. This code's only good until the end of business this Friday. We also have this code, it's applicable to a package, so because it's applicable to both the year and the AI. So if you'd like to upgrade to both from your monthly, or if you just like to get into both right now, you can go to the page bit.ly/, you can advance the page there, I think it's /Holly AI, AI Holly, thank you. So it's bit.ly/AI Holly, all caps, again, it has to be all in uppercase. Or click through. You can actually go to the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface right now. Look at that. In your GoToWebinar interface, there's a download right there. It's a PDF that has this link in it and the same information. Using that code Holly13 on that page, when you click through and select to buy the 1988 combination, takes it down to $1480. It saves you over $500 immediately. And again, that code Holly13 expires this Friday. But this is a fantastic way for someone who's on the monthly plan to upgrade into getting both annual and Holly. And if you're doing that, do us a favor and shoot us an email after you do so that we can just make sure that that monthly subscription's turned off. Thanks everyone for attending. We are going to have the recording up sometime later tonight. Please email us with any questions, info@trade-ideas.com. Follow Dan. He's Trade Ideas 1 on Twitter. We also have Trade Ideas, lots of good stuff there. Facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro also has some stuff we usually don't post anywhere else. Thanks, everyone. Come to the next webinar. We're doing this again next week. Thanks, guys. We have a Trade of the Week webinar tonight. Most of you should have already received the invites during the middle of this webinar for the last call. That's it. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Barry. Bye, guys.